Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're doing a full technical and economic autopsy of traditional finance versus decentralized finance. We're going to break down how the actual plumbing of global capital markets is being totally rewritten, and not by startups and hoodies, but by the financial giants themselves.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to dissect all the friction and costs that are just baked into our legacy financial system. Then, we'll explore DeFi's pretty radical promise of atomic, instantaneous value transfer. But the real story here is the convergence, how these two worlds are actually merging to create this powerful new hybrid engine for the global economy. We'll look at the tech making it happen, the risks involved, and then, at the end, what this all means in real dollars and cents. Okay, let's just dive right into this. To really get it, we first have to understand the immense scale and, frankly, the friction that's built into the traditional financial system. It's a system of absolutely staggering size, but also one with some really deep-seated inefficiencies. To get a sense of just how big this system is, think about the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, or the DTCC. They process transactions valued in the quadrillions every year. That's thousands of trillions of dollars. This isn't just a big player. It is literally the central nervous system of the U.S. capital markets. And while it's incredibly robust, this whole thing relies on a huge web of intermediaries. Custodians, clearinghouses, transfer agents, you name it. This creates what economists like to call necessary friction. These are layers that make sure trades settle correctly, sure, but they come at a cost, both in time and in money, with fees getting skimmed off at every single step of the process.
Now, what's really interesting here is how you can actually put a price tag on that friction. What you're looking at is the cost to settle a single trade. Settling a trade in Europe is almost twice as expensive as in North America, and an international settlement, that's 4 times as costly. And this isn't random. It's basically a direct tax you pay just because these different financial systems don't speak the same language.
And that brings us to the delay. For decades, we've operated on what's called a T+2 cycle. It means your trade takes 2 whole business days to finalize. Think about that. This delay traps massive amounts of capital and creates something called counterparty risk, which is just the danger that the other side of your trade might blow up before it actually settles. This is in stark contrast to the promise of instant T+0 settlement. So let's flip the script and look at the theoretical elegance of DeFi and how it builds a completely different model. And this isn't just a simple upgrade, it's like a fundamental change in the physics of finance itself. The core innovation here is something called atomic settlement. In nerdy terms, it's a delivery versus payment transaction that happens as one single, indivisible operation. You can think of it like a perfect cryptographic escrow. If the asset doesn't show up, the payment just automatically refunds. Poof! The entire idea of settlement risk, that fear that you'll pay but get nothing back, is just eliminated by the laws of mathematics. And this is all powered by smart contracts and a concept the industry loves to call money Legos. Financial products become these modular, composable pieces of code that you can just snap together to create entirely new services. So a tokenized treasury bond is no longer just a static entry in a database. It's a programmable asset. Its coupon payments can be sent out automatically, and it can be instantly used as collateral in a lending protocol, all without a human lifting a finger, in a global 24/7 market. But, and this is the big but, here's the plot twist. This isn't a story of replacement. The world's largest financial institutions, they aren't fighting this technology anymore. They are now systematically adopting it to rewire their own core infrastructure. And this timeline just shows you how fast things are moving. In 2024, the U.S. market moved to a 1-day settlement cycle, which was a huge deal. But look ahead. By 2026, the DTCC itself plans to have a live blockchain-based platform for tokenized U.S. treasuries, and they're planning to quickly expand to things like ETFs. The engine of TradFi is literally adopting the rails of DeFi. And don't just take my word for it. This isn't happening in some back room. Lynn Martin, the president of the New York Stock Exchange, has said on the record that their goal is to lead the industry toward on-chain solutions. They aren't just watching from the sidelines. They are actively building this future. So how exactly are they building this new hybrid system? I mean, this isn't about using public blockchains like Bitcoin or Ethereum for settling stocks. It's about taking the core technology, distributed ledgers, smart contracts, and using it inside a regulated institutional-grade wrapper. Let's look at the critical tech that's making this all possible. A key piece of this puzzle is technology.
like zero-knowledge proofs, or ZKPs. It honestly sounds like magic, but it's just pure mathematics. It allows someone to prove a statement is true. For instance, I'm an accredited investor, without actually revealing any of the private data that proves it. This lets a protocol verify compliance with regulations like KYC/AML without ever seeing your personal financial info. It's privacy-preserving compliance, kind of the holy grail for digital finance.
And to make this happen, you need new technical standards, ones that are way more complex than your average crypto token. As you can see here, standards like ERC 3643 are really becoming the dominant choice for what we call real-world assets, or RWAs. This standard basically embeds the compliance rules directly into the asset itself. It creates a digital identity layer, making sure a tokenized security can only be held and transferred by people who are verified. It's effectively automating the gatekeeping that compliance departments do today.
Okay, but this convergence is not all sunshine and roses. Fusing the deterministic world of code with the very messy reality of law and markets creates entirely new kinds of risk that we have to talk about.
The single biggest weak spot, by far, is the connection point between different blockchains, known as a bridge. According to the blockchain analytics firm Chainalysis, these bridges, which you absolutely need for everything to work together, account for a staggering 69% of all funds stolen in DeFi. That just highlights the huge security challenge of getting these systems to talk to each other safely.
This leads us to a really fundamental computer science problem called the oracle problem. A smart contract on a blockchain is basically a closed box. By design, it can't just go look up information on the internet. So here's the riddle. How does it get real-world data, like the price of Apple stock, onto the blockchain? Building a secure, decentralized, and hack-proof data feed, an oracle, is one of the hardest unsolved problems in this entire space.
And the risks don't stop with oracles. Attackers have manipulated these price feeds to steal hundreds of millions of dollars. Simple bugs in the code can be absolutely catastrophic, leading to a total loss of funds. And of course, there's the ever-present threat of a regulatory crackdown that could just sever the connections that are being built between these two worlds. So to make this all tangible, let's end with a real-world business case. Let's just forget all the theory for a minute and look at the practical impact on a core financial activity, issuing a corporate bond. This slide, right here, just crystallizes the entire argument. Issuing a bond the old-fashioned way is this long, drawn-out, multi-month process with lawyers, bankers, and millions in fees. By using a tokenized on-chain approach, the cost of issuance can drop by up to 90%. The time it takes to get to market gets cut from months to weeks, and, this is crucial, the asset now lives on a global 24/7 liquid market from day one.
So the big takeaway here is that this is more than just an efficiency upgrade. It's a fundamental change in what an asset even is. It transforms what one economist famously called dead capital, illiquid assets that are trapped in legal paperwork, into programmable high-velocity instruments.
And this leaves us with the final, pretty provocative question that really defines this whole convergence. Is this technology actually going to decentralize power and democratize access to capital for everybody? Or will the big incumbents simply use it as a hyper-efficient new operating system to cement their existing dominance in the market? Thanks for joining us for this explainer. The answer to that question, well, it's still being written.